Hey guys, it's Annie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how I have overcome anxiety naturally. And I know people are looking at me, who, if you're new here, you're probably like, you're a completely normal functioning looking girl. First of all, doesn't matter what you look like. Your appearance doesn't dictate your body chemistry and life experiences and how you experience emotions, because I've always felt very, very strongly. As a child, I had massive separation anxiety. I could never even stay at grandparents' house or aunts and uncles' houses without having panic and anxiety attacks. I had such bad separation anxiety when my mom would drop me off at daycare. I would cry every single time and just watch as she drove away out the door. I would wake up as a kid / teenager, and my first thought waking up oftentimes was, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. My grandparents are gonna die. My parents are getting older, they're gonna die. My dog's gonna die. And just thoughts like that. Change was so scary. It was always just this overwhelming sensation in my body, this buzziness, this heaviness, this paralyzing feeling. And it was a lot. And I know a lot of people experience anxiety, and we all actually experience it differently. Like for me, the sensation of anxiety was a lot of racing thoughts, a lot of buzziness, heaviness in my chest, heart, diaphragm area, just and then in school, if I was called on to speak up in class or had to give a presentation or even just to read, my voice would shake. I would get a heat flash through my body. I'd get red and I just would stutter because it just took over my body. And I will say that I was never, as a child, I never went to the doctor for the anxiety that I experienced or the ADHD that was undiagnosed at that point. But when I was in my 20s, I did go to the doctor and I did get put on medication, early 20s, but I only used that medication for about 3 months. And that's it. And it wasn't because it wasn't working, it was just because LA, it's difficult to get in to see the doctor. At that point in my life, I was super broke, so just the thought of even having to pay for the medication at that point was overwhelming. And yeah, so in my mid-20s, the anxiety turned into a lot of depression. I had some weight gain, my skin was breaking out. I was just in these toxic relationships and friendships because I had very low self-worth because I felt so hectic. I felt like I don't know how to talk to people or interact with people because every time I talk to someone, I just feel so many overwhelming things in my body. And that was most of my life. Of course, there were moments and there were people that I could feel calm around, but the majority of the time, these sensations overtook my experience. And it wasn't until a couple years ago that I started working through it. Also, let me preface this by saying, this is my experience. We're all different. We all have things that work for us that might not work for another human, but there are also many things that work for me that will work for other humans. So I believe that I get to share these things and it very well could help others. And it's not just a snap of the fingers and you're like, oh, anxiety doesn't take over my life anymore. It's a process. With that being said, let's rewind a couple years ago. So a couple years back, when I was at my rock bottom and I was like, I need to change. One of the first changes that I did incorporate into my life is I started taking CBD oil. I have been using Soul CBD, and I will say, if you go back, look at my videos, look at my posts, I've been talking about them forever. They've never sponsored a video of mine, but they did agree to sponsor this one. So I'm very grateful that they are, because I have been using them for years and this is my first time being sponsored by them, which is really freaking exciting. And don't worry, this is not just a full video on CBD. I have so many other things that I've incorporated into my life and shifts, but this genuinely did help the way my body feels and experiences anxiety. And by that, I mean, not that it took away or numbed out the sensation, it just made it so I don't feel that fluttery tension the way I used to. So I will explain what that experience was like. So the first time I got Soul CBD, I started using it every single day. So I think I had the 500 milligram and I would take it every single day. Actually, I have some right here. I haven't taken any today because I wanted to take some on camera. This is the 1500 milligrams. So when I take the 1500, I usually take a third of the dropper because it's 3 times stronger than the 500 milligrams. So a third to a half of a dropper. So this lasts several months. So I take a little bit there, put it under my tongue, and then I hold it under my tongue for 30 seconds to a minute. I'm just gonna swallow it now because I don't wanna sit here. Okay, then you swallow it. So I started doing that every single day in the first week, I started noticing I was feeling better. And then by the end of the first month, I was like, this month has been a lot less stressful and overwhelming. But I wasn't sure if it was from the CBD or not, because I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like having a good time and things are working out. I don't know if it's the CBD, but I did notice after I ran out of that first bottle, about a week later, I started noticing that the anxious feelings started creeping up again. And I was like, uh-oh, I think it was a CBD. I think that was what was calming my system down. So then I ordered more, started taking it again, and again my system wasn't feeling so overwhelmed. My nervous system, it was calming my nervous system. And I will say, Soul CBD is third-party tested, so that means it has no traces of THC guaranteed, which THC is, you know, the component that could make you fail a drug test. So this has 0 THC, it comes from the hemp plant. So yeah, and another great example for me, and this has happened many times, where one night I woke up in the middle of the night in a full-blown overwhelmed, like racing heart, like overwhelmed panic attack, and I took a full dropper of the 1500, and within 10 minutes, my nervous system had calmed down and I was able to go back to sleep. So those are some examples for me of how it has worked greatly. So I freaking love it. Again, back then I took it every single day, and that really helped calm my nervous system. With my nervous system being calm and that overwhelming sensation in my body not taking over all the time, it made it a lot easier to do the mindset work and the healing work, because I didn't have that extra layer of hectic sensations going on in my body. Because when you feel hectic in your body and then your mind is giving you more reasons to feel hectic in your body, it just amplifies it. But because I wasn't feeling the buzzy, uncomfortable jitters in my body all the time, the thoughts weren't fueling it, and vice versa. They used to like fuel each other. Like my body feels off, so my mind comes up with reasons why life is horrible, and then that makes my body feel more anxious, and it was like the thoughts and the feelings were working off of each other. So this just like calmed this, so then I could really take my thoughts and, you know, work with them and reprogram my mindset. So that was a huge step one. I forever will thank Soul. I also know Mike and Angie, who are the founders, and I think that they are great people. So thank you, Mike and Angie, for actually being such a big, huge shift in changing my life, honestly, because anxiety was what freaking overpowered me back then. Also, I do have a code. I think it's just Annie B, and you can use the link down below. So if you want to check it out, check it out. If not, that's fine too, but it's really helped for me. Oh, and another thing I was trying to say is, yes, I used to take it every day. Now I don't have to. I didn't get dependent on it or need it forever, and then once I stopped, it all came back. It was really something, again, that was a tool that helped me work on my mindset. And now if I do have a day where it's like, oh my gosh, overwhelming anxiety, I will take it, or just like here and there, but I don't need it every day, which is great. So that's just been a huge thing to help me overcome anxiety. The next thing that's really helped me was just getting into personal development and reading personal development books. I've made videos on my top personal development books, but I think it's so important to retrain your mind. I used to think reading was dumb, personal development, like that doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. But from experience, the effects of having other people's encouraging thoughts and ideas running through my mind through reading these books helped tremendously, because my mind used to be on autopilot and it would say the most self-deprecating things at all times. And of course, if you're constantly saying these horrible things to yourself, You're not gonna feel worthy. You're going to lower your vibrations, lower your emotional state. You're gonna feel like crap. You're gonna feel anxious. So starting off reading other people's encouragements and also reading people's testimonials of how personal development and mindset shifts had changed their lives gave me hope. Like, oh, I learned how to re-talk to myself. I learned how to cheer myself on. I learned how to take what I was taught growing up and say, that's not serving me, that's not working for me. I'm going to re-brainwash myself, because really we're just all being brainwashed. So why not just brainwash ourselves in ways that serve us? So just really noticing my thoughts, what I was thinking, catching myself thinking those self-deprecating thoughts, stopping those self-deprecating thoughts and saying, no, thank you. That's not the truth. The truth is, I'm a good person. I love people. I want to help people. I have a big heart. I'm kind. And just, yeah, retraining your thoughts. Takes practice, takes awareness of where your mind is in autopilot, but that's a huge tool. I've talked about that before in videos, because the thing about our thoughts is they're not even true. They're stories that most of us are making up. They're things that we've learned from society or things that our parents have taught us, like, oh, clearly that's true for my parents and I'm from my parents, so that must be true for me. But it's not. What we believe to be true will be true for ourselves. Another thing about anxiety is it's like these trapped emotions in our body that we're afraid to feel. So oftentimes we will run from them and like watch TV to distract, or scroll on our phones, or drink alcohol, or do whatever our preferred vice is because we're running from it. Like when I feel these anxious sensations in my body, I use that as an alert system. Anxiety no longer means you can't do the things you want to do, because before I would feel anxious and to me that was my sign of like, freeze, don't do the things, it's not safe to do the things, don't, just freeze. And now I've redefined what that sensation means for me. So instead of that sensation meaning stop, freeze, don't do things, lay in bed for days and just binge watch Netflix or drink wine, that's what it used to mean. It now means alert, alert. Be gentle with yourself. Love yourself. I honestly will sit there and say, I love you, you're doing good, I've got you. Like all the things that I need to hear and wish I would hear from someone else. I say those things to myself, just self-soothing. Yes, Louise? Louise is saying nice things to herself right now, I think. Anyway, it doesn't mean stop anymore. It's simply just an alert system for me to look at what I need in the moment. Because usually if I'm getting to that state of feeling anxious, I'm taking on other people's energies, I'm piling too much on my schedule, I'm not keeping up on my self-care. So changing the meaning of what that feeling means is a huge little hack. My question for you is, what has anxiety been meaning for you? And what can it mean now? I personally highly just recommend the meaning that it's just saying, take care of me. Look inward, treat me nice, love me. Like the other day when I had an anxious day, which was very rare, I was confused. I'm like, where did this come from? I haven't felt this way in a while. But instead of shaming it, because that's what a lot of us do. We shame that feeling and then it intensifies and then it lingers longer. But I gave it the attention that it needed. And that really just meant me giving myself the attention that I needed, taking care of myself, letting myself relax, taking the pressure off, doing some meditation, some self-care. I even cleaned up my apartment. That helped. And now today I feel recharged and renewed because I didn't fight that feeling. I took care of myself because that's what it was telling me I needed to do. That's all it means now. Take care of me. And we need to take care of ourselves. So many of us are not taking care of ourselves anymore. There's so much chaos and hectic energy going on in the world that our attention is always outside of ourselves. And that's why our bodies are like, alert, alert, turn back inward. Pay attention to me, not everything else all the time. Also, a huge huge tip for anxiety is movement. A lot of the times it's just stuck energy in your body that needs to be moved, and you can do that different ways. Some people like to dance. You can even put on music and just like move around. It doesn't even have to be a dance, just like move that energy, shake it out. I was given the advice that if I start feeling anxiety, which social anxiety for me, because I am an empath, is literally I'm just taking on everyone's emotions and it's overwhelming my system. So I was given the advice, if I need to, just like jump up and down and shake. And if someone's like, what are you doing? I'm just gonna be like, I'm moving the energy. What do you think I'm doing? It's not weird. It doesn't have to be weird. So that's huge. But one of my favorite things to do to move the energy in my body is to go on a hike. Nature is one of the best things. Even if you don't have a hike to go on around you, go on a walk in a neighborhood. One of my favorite things to do, just even getting in my car and driving 10 minutes to get to like a super beautiful hillside neighborhood. And I just go on a walk. I don't listen to music, I don't listen to podcasts, but you can do that if you want, that's completely fine. But I like to just have silence. A lot of the anxiety comes from overstimulation of the mind. So I just like to walk without sound. Just breathe in the fresh air, observe all the beauty, all the flowers, all the nature. Look at people's homes. I love going to different neighborhoods and just looking at homes and getting curious about what their life's like. Like, what is it like to live there? Like, it's so interesting to think that every single person has a fully different reality. Just like playing in that energy, it's very refreshing. There are so many tips that I could share with you. Eating natural things definitely can help your nervous system. Meditation has been huge. I've been meditating the last couple of years as well. One huge thing is learning just to express myself. I feel like so much of the anxiety is I felt like I could not share myself. I felt like I couldn't express who I was. I was so conditioned that you can't be yourself, because if you are yourself, people will reject you. So you have to conform and say things that please other people and say things that aren't who you are because it's not safe to be you. And so just slowly, and it's been scary, honestly. Actually, I'll take that back. It hasn't been scary. Overthinking being authentic has been scary. It's like every time I've actually shown up authentically and I speak a little more of my truth, every time I do that, I get way more people who are supportive, just giving me good feedback. And I've learned that in expressing my authentic self, that it's safe to be me. It's not always comfortable, but it's safe to be me. Like, of course, suppressing ourselves, it's going to lead to the experience of a lot of anxiety, because that's not what we're here to do. We're not meant to be born and then shove everything down because our parents or society has said it's not proper to be a real human and share who you are. That's so suffocating. The more you can share a little more, open up a little more, just honestly taking baby steps has been a great thing for my nervous system. Of course, if you're just like ripping off the mask of, you know, the conditioning, how you've been showing up within conditioning, if you just rip off that mask and you're like, this is me, that's gonna be a big shock to your system, and you're gonna be like, oh wait, this feels horrible. But the baby steps, like, wait, this person accepts me for who I am. Oh, this person accepts me for who I am. Like, those baby steps make it so it's not such a big shock to your system. So it's been a lot of mindset work, baby steps. It wasn't a snap of the finger and then my life just was different. Because for years, most of my life, I remember just a couple years ago, my thought was, nobody knows me. Nobody really knows me. My family doesn't really know me. My friends don't know me. There's not a single person who really knows me, because I didn't feel safe to be me and to show up as me. And I've learned to have so much compassion for other people, because I know how much it sucks and how much anxiety it brings up in me when I felt like I had no option but to try to please what society thought, because if I don't please what society thinks, they're gonna reject me and it's not safe. Like, our reptilian brain is there to keep us safe, and not being accepted doesn't feel safe. Back in the caveman days, like way back in the day, we actually needed to be accepted, because if we were thrown out of our tribes, that means we would die, and that programming is still in there somewhere. So we're like, if I get rejected, I could die. And so my thing is, again, baby steps, show up a little bit more, find people who accept you. But honestly, I don't want to put too much on your plate. So let's start, not even start, let's end with reminding you of the basics. CBD oil genuinely did help calm my nervous system and help me get to a place where I had the capability to work on the mindset, because my body was no longer overpowering me. After that, it was working on the mindset, working on becoming very much aware of the thoughts that I was thinking and the things that I was telling myself. And from there, just being so kind to myself, because we're all humans and we're all trying to get through this life, and we're all so critical of ourselves. And it's like, the more critical we are of ourselves, the more critical we are of others. Also, side note, just know that anyone who's criticizing you and hard on you, that person is being way more hard on themselves. So know that if you do desire to have pleasant relationships and treat people well, because that's how you want to be treated, the more compassion you have for yourself, the more capacity you have for compassion towards others. So big. Every time I feel triggered or offended by someone, again, signal. That is my signal to look at myself and go, ooh, let me take care of you. You're feeling sad. Like, let me give you a little love. And then when I get to a point where like, oh, I self-soothed myself, I can look at that other person and be like, wow, I know that for them to act out in that way, they're treating themselves horribly, because I only am gonna snap at a person if I'm not feeling good and I'm triggered and I'm out of whack and I'm out of balance. My experience and my relationship with anxiety has changed greatly. I don't even like to call it my anxiety anymore, because it's not my anxiety. I don't own it. I don't need to claim it. It's not part of my identity. I experience anxiety. I am a human. I am not anxiety. I am a human, and occasionally I experience anxiety. You experience it, sure, but it doesn't have to be something that you're defending. It's like we're defending it like, no, this is who I am. I have this. I have to accept this as my life. But that doesn't have to be the truth. Like, anxiety, I understand you're just trying to keep me safe, but I'm good. And trust me, back in the day, if someone would have told me like, oh, you can do these things and blah, 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 mindset and blah, blah, I would have been like, screw you. That's not real. There's no way. If you experienced how anxiety overtakes my body, then you wouldn't be saying that. I was in that boat, so I understand that other people are probably going to feel that way too. But I'm telling you, this is what worked for me. Again, it's a process. Maybe take some of the things that I said and try them out. See what works for you and go from there. Because if I can overcome anxiety overpowering my life, I know that I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who can experience this. Anyway, that is all I have for this video. Again, thank you so much, Soul CBD. My code is Annie B. I'll put it on the screen. You can also use the link down below. 15% off. They're awesome. They have a bunch of different flavors. They have gummies, which are really freaking good. Just all sorts of different products, which I'm a super fan of. And yeah, thank you guys for supporting me. I hope that this video helped in some way. What was the biggest like aha takeaway from this video? Or what tip do you want to try that I shared with you? I hope that you apply some of them, try them out. But with that being said, thank you guys for sticking around for all of these years. And there's so much more to come. So thanks, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye guys.